Everyone. We have just started the webinar, so we are seeing participants just coming in. We will just take a couple of minutes for everyone to join. We can see some 16 participants already. So I think we'll just start. If others join, they can continue to join. Just start for now. So just to give a background for anybody who has joined for the first time. So NASCOM has taken this a new program that we are starting with our regional council of Tamil Nadu called Train the Trainer. And this is specifically focused to address the skill gaps that might be there between a college graduate and what the industry expectation is, to understand what is that current trend that is there, so that the professors can also take this back to the students, and also gain industry perspective, and so that the conceptual topics that you deal with, you can also bring in industrial use cases and applications to your students, so that they know what exactly they will be doing in future once they graduate and apply all the skills that they have learned. So that is the idea behind this program, and we have already conducted one session in February. This is the second session, and uh, today we have with us Pradeep Narayan Murthy from IDP, and this is a part of a two. This is a two-part session. He's conducting the first session today, and we have just finalized the date for the next session to be on 3rd May. We will send out the invite soon after this invite. This meeting. We just wanted to update this to you so that you can also participate in the next session. Uh, just going over a brief about Pradeep. Pradeep is heading data engineering and governance at IDP, and IDP is doing great work in edutech field, so it's more pertinent to this program as well. He is an active contributor for NASCOM, and he's been part of our analytics forum. He's the part of the core committee, and he's also an expert in data transformation, data analytics, data governance, and AI. and he's also a D&I leader. He has done a lot of programs on diversity across India and Europe. uh, and he's someone who follows this quote from Sir Robert Baden-Powell, that is, try to leave this world a little better than you found it. So I think he takes this very personally, and he tries to give his best for each session, and he's been doing great work with NASCOM. So we are very happy to bring Pradeep to this program to us. Today he will be discussing on the topic of data science and analytics, the first part, that is get ready and a sneak peek into generative AI. And he'll also be discussing a little bit about ethical and responsible AI as well. Uh, so I'm just giving this to you now, Pradeep. Please
Thank you.
give
Thank
a
you.
brief about the session. And
Thank you,
and
Bhavya.
just one other note also. Once Pradeep ends this note, we'll also open this for question answer. We'll be happy to take questions from the audience.
Thanks,
So
Bhavya.
over to you.
Yeah. Especially thanks for those kind words. Being a scout student, it's always nice to hear that quote of Sir Robert Baden-Powell. We also had the distinction to visit his first setup in Switzerland. So he did it 4 or 5 decades ago. I had a chance to visit it. And let me, because she has told a lot about me, I'll give a background about the topic. This is one of the key discussions that we do it in multiple forums, and as you're aware, AI is now called as a new electricity. Earlier data was called as the crude. So electricity, right, that's very important that you give those connection points, otherwise you can't really ignite the world. So that's the reason we have been actively contributing to it, and I'm very happy getting a chance to meet really the beacons who will go and ignite millions of students. And also I come from a company which is more into education sector. The bread and butter is to place students across. So it's really a privilege for me to take part in this session and also share my 2 pence of thought here. How I'm going to split this maybe in 3 parts. First is little bit of awareness, what is happening, and historically what we did. And second bit is we'll talk about few of those foundational models. And last bit is some use cases, how it could be handled ethically. So now you can hear me right now.
It is audible, Pradeep.
Okay, thank you. So that's how I'm going to split it. Let me get on to the first one. You might wonder why this Charles Darwin's theory. Obviously, AI is not something very new, especially the data science part, what we talk about, it's not new. I always used to say, for a person to be a good data scientist, he has to be good in mathematics and in statistics. So every concept that you see here are from statistics and mathematics and a little bit of physics. Otherwise, this world cannot operate. So it's not just doing Python coding. It's all about understanding your distribution, data distribution, which is very basic in statistics, computing, mathematics, and applying some theories, physics. That's how it works. And for me, someone who says that he's a good Python coder and he's a data scientist, normally we don't accept it. So people has to have a good understanding. So it's a foundation. It started like that. You would wonder why I called it. So this practice is available in the market more than 60, 70 years. If you had a chance to see yesterday accounting practice, their corporate financing 50, 60 years ago, it's completely based on a lot of predictions, forecasting, which is nothing but data science. And if you've ever tried models in the banks, especially before the core banking, the bankers used to use a model simulation called Monte Carlo, which is nothing but, again, a data science and AI. So AI is nothing but whatever you simulate it that can do like a human being. That's it. So now you see a lot of fancy words like ChatGPT and other thing, but however, the fundamental is all the algorithms and everything is statistics. That's how you will. I'm not going to talk more about it. So that's how it works, and you could see currently a lot of transformers model is available, which says they have billions of parameters, but the foundation is from the statistics. Computation, as I said, it's mathematics, and a lot of algorithms will have a touch with physics, like your naive Bayes, right? Your Gaussian. Gaussian is a fundamental physics. Otherwise, you can't go. All these theories, there's a mix of it. That's how AI has evolved. So today's session, we will focus on the generative AI part because in our we can't talk a lot about it. I will try to have what is generative AI, how it is different from the traditional machine learning and the data science world. So that would really help us. The reason we all focus on generative AI is that you can start by giving prompts. You don't need to really build the core model because we call that as a foundation model. So that's the reason I thought we'll go, and that's how the world is also moving. We are no more in the world of building base models, writing code. No, very simple. You have to take a model which it suits you, and then you have to focus on the prompts. And that's what I'm going to focus. A little bit of theory here. It's a beautiful picture. So it's from Prague. It's one of the castle. So we always say that generative AI has made the market run fast. A lot of key players in the market are made to revisit their strategy. A lot of players of incumbent players have went down. There's a flip happened in the market. So the word competitive edge is no more. That's what I put it. So this is a chateau architecture. Before reaching the castle, you will have a groove and a lot of protection. Nowadays, it's not there. Directly, things get into you, and you would see a lot of James Bond movies, right? Before AI, Roger Moore is one person who has breached a lot of castles and chateaus. So it's something like that, and recently you would see Rajnikant doing all those things. That's how AI is placed. Reason I have put in this is to give you the context, and you will see the third image is from the Lord of Rings. This person would be traveling in almost all the 6 or 7 parts. So it's all about survival of the fittest. So again, it touches back to the Charles Darwin's theory, how the market is evolving, first slide, how you would need to adopt, how we need to sustain in the market. So I just try to give the introduction. Normally it's going to be very tough because it's not a face-to-face, in-person one. So I'm just setting the context, what generative AI is capable of it, and how a lot of incumbents have been out of market. I'm not going to go into those theoretical part. So Kavya, we'll open up the questions afterwards, right? Or do we ask in between any questions?
Feel free, Pradeep. If you want to ask, keep it open in between, you can do that.
No problem. Thank you. So this is a context I want to set it up. And this is again a lot of theory, you would say. Disruption is a buzzword. We talk about it. So Kavya and I were in a analytics forum a couple of days ago. So people have been asking about disruption. So disruption. So reason I wanted to call out this is, right, I had a privilege to talk to a few of the pre-final year and final year engineering students in Chennai and few out of Tirunelveli, that's my native. People always think, especially the students think disruption is something extravagant. It's not the case. It's not extravagant. All came up with very jazzy ideas, tough ideas, fine. But the theoretically it says, the theory of disruption says it's not that. It is very simple example is that some time ago, a particular product or a technology which was only be accessed by privileged people, privileged company, and now it is made for all. So that's the reason ChatGPT has made this world a level playing field for everyone. You just need to have an access to internet. You need to have few prompts. There's a lot of such models are there. So I'm just I'm predominantly I'm going to focus on the generative AI models around the transformer models. So it has made the world level playing field. Anyone who can have a good knowledge of prompting. Prompting is nothing but throwing the questions and effectively you can get back. That's it. You can make the model to do wonders. So this has made the traditional companies to think a lot because the growth is exponential. And I asked this question to the pre-final year and the final year students who was having an idea. So can you quantify it, how it could attract masses? Very simple. I can call out news case. In earlier days, if you see for the music directors, especially in Tamil Nadu, everyone were flocking based on a class in the province. So they used to either go to Ilayaraja or they used to go to A.R. Rahman. But after Anirudh is not a classy like the other parties, but he can do everything. Anirudh is like a full stack developer, so he can sing, right? He can compose. So generative AI is like that. It can do multi-modal. It can give you text-related output. It can give you video. It can give you audio. It can convert. It can do everything, but you need to have your prompt simple and straightforward, which can fetch right information. And reason all the companies, especially the corporate sectors, is they don't want to miss this wave. There's a famous quote, so India missed the biggest wave of industrial revolution, but we tapped the IT revolution in early 90s perfectly. So that's the reason India is one of the biggest player in the IT market. You will see consultants all over the world. So I had the privilege to travel all over the world because it's purely by India's IT strategy. So now India is effectively working on the AI strategy. So Kavya can give more light about it. It's a volatile market. A lot of parameters get new. Things are very volatile. So if professors and deans like you want to assess it, the disruption theory is very simple. The idea has to be simple and it has to attract masses. It has to be an affordable solution. So that's what we call as a disruption. I wanted to set up the context of fear of missing out. Every organization, so that's the reason we have this meeting also. So the institutions also does not want to miss out this wave. So if you miss out this wave, it's going to be a costly affair. Couple of months, so last month I had a chance to meet my college principal. I was just talking about it. I was telling that every institution has changed their curriculum to focus more on AI. So he was saying that he has put in a lot of exclusive courses. So I completed engineering in 2005. Still, I see a huge transformation has happened in the book. Nowadays people don't go by a theoretical one. A lot of labs have changed. So he asked me to give him some ideas about the data lab, which we put it in the corporate sector side. So it was fascinating, and then it was nice to know that students are way ahead. The Gen Z++ students are very much ahead the curve. So it is very important. So personally, I can share you another example. I had a chance to mentor an intern last year, but it was a reverse. The intern mentored me a lot because they're already ahead of this curve. So it's a famous term I also told in day before yesterday's Coimbatore session. We have to be in a mindset to unlearn all our I boast to have 18, 19 years of experience, but thoroughly I unlearned everything last 15 months. I'm learning and relearning. So that's the context for today's meeting. I'm going to quickly get on to the business. As I said, I will start with the traditional ML and generative AI. The question is, right, how it is different. People say that traditional ML and generative are almost similar. Yes, it is similar, but both works on a different arithmetics, I would say. The traditional ML, whatever the data science, machine learning work that you do is on a conditional probability. What is a conditional probability? You will set some boundaries for your target variables with output variables. For example, you would see that what is that image that you see there? A traditional model cannot give a right output. Reason is right, you need to train. How would you train it? You will put in a lot of labels. That's called conditional probability. The outcome is either if it could be a logistic regression, which means you toss a coin, what is the probability? The match happens, who wins or loses. So that's called as a conditional probability. I'm not going to go into those mathematics. You are way ahead that. So you need to do labels. It's not very easy. However, the traditional models do a lot of classification, but the error rate is quite high. And how the generative AI has changed the landscape is, it is based on the probability which has all, does not have any conditions. It's a joint probability. So you see, right, generate a cat, it comes because it uses a generative model, whereas the traditional models use a discriminative model, because discriminative model is nothing but adversaries cannot be handled that very well. Adversaries is very simple, you fakes. Instead of I classify a cat with a dog and then I train it, you ask something, it will say it's not a cat, it's a dog. Because the label data, whatever you do, that there's a huge rate of false positives, false negatives, true positives. So that's the game changer generative AI did. So generative AI models are an encoder model, or an adversarial network model, or it is a transformational turbo models. What does it mean? It can give you a multi-model output. You can prompt. So prompt is important thing here. Not sure whether you can able to see my screen properly. The image got distorted a little bit. So what it does is your prompts, whatever you see to the left-hand side are nothing but prompts. Very simple. There was one of the industry person, so we had a chat with him a couple of days. So he has built in a model in Big Basket, it's a data new, so that you can put in your voice and it will synthesize what you need. Classic example, you go to Big Basket or Tata's any product, you go and give a voice saying that I need to make paneer burji. So traditional model will ask you multiple questions. What is paneer burji? What is the quantity you need? What kind of ingredient you need to put it? But the generative model is based on neural networks. It will give you the right recipes there, how you need to do it. So that's the difference. You will see the curve. It's fast. You need to put in the right prompts. So that's where you need to spend a lot of time in prompting. But the foundational model, whatever I talk about is foundation model. As on today, you can see 3 widely used models. One is your variational encoder decoder model. So how it works is you can put in variations there, your distributions would be validated. It's a typical encoder and decoder, however, whatever you see it in your digital signal processing, it is close to that. That's one widely used model. However, adversaries are not well managed. So then we went on to a model called generative adversarial network, which means it has 2 parts. There's a generator and a discriminator. So if you see in ChatGPT, you will see a thumbs up, thumbs down. Right? It's nothing but you get a feedback. If it's all good, they give a thumbs up. If they say no, they give a thumbs down. So thumbs down is an adversarial part. So that adversarial part would be fed back into the model. The model will automatically retrain itself, and then it will throw the output much better. So now latest versions, right, you will not see the thumbs up, you will only see the thumbs down. Reason is right, we want to capture the adversaries only so that you can train the model in much perfect mode. Last is a transformational model. We call it as a GPT 3.5. So it's a multi-model. The GPT-4 is a multi-model, which means not only on a text-based, you can give a prompt, you can throw videos, we can do images. So our company, we are on a 3.5. We're going to also try the 4. Certain things are in the pipeline. So how you can get the best out of the model is the prompt. prompt is nothing but the window that you see in ChatGPT or any of those generative AI, how you type it and you get it. So these models, the generative models are in such a way it can handle zero-shot prompts, which means you don't want to train the model by giving prompts. It has already an inbuilt knowledge saying that it can generate output. That's number one. Single prompt models is that you just need to give one prompt. Based on that one prompt, the model will automatically train. So the famous Tamil one, right? How you say that and Aril Valayad, Arudil Valay, it's the same thing. So you can give a single prompt and then it picks it up. There are other complex models, you need to give multiple prompts. So that's how this model is completely different from the traditional. If someone asks you the question, what are the difference between the traditional model? A lot of things. I would say the key word is it is a joint probability, and then you can generate content like anything. It's not that you need to classify. The model itself will give you that. Our point is that you need to fine tune it by giving feedback to it, which I'm going to cover it in the next slide. So this is the difference. If anyone has any question, please stop me then and there. Right? Any questions before I get into it? Okay. So I'm going into the computing part. So this session, the idea is that I wanted to stick on to the key principles. If possible, in the next session, I can show you some basics of how these prompts and all these things can work. I need to set up my LLM, so I've not done it for some time. So I can show you the real time how it works, but this is the offshoot of the previous one that I was talking about, right? This is the generative AI is heavily used for innovation purpose. You will see a lot of models in the market, ranging from small language model to the large language model. The small language model itself is a huge model because it has 7 billion hyperparameters. Hyperparameters are nothing but all your variables inside. What are the variables you put it inside? And it has a temperature. Temperature is nothing but how you operate your oven. It's the same case. You want to do a donut, you place your dough and what are the ingredients, you keep it into the oven, you set a temperature. Temperature will ensure that the output is right. It does not go beyond your distribution ranges. So the same concepts, how you can make your donut, the same case, how you can generate your output. So it's all innovation focused. As I said, it's a joint probability. Unlike the traditional models, it does not have boundaries. So you see, it can create images, it can create artwork. So I'm going to cover those examples. I have taken some industry examples, which I'm going to talk about it. So this is how, in a nutshell, the generative AI model looks like. The first one is your prompts and the output, what you get. How you can ask the generative AI model is through text. Output, you can get it as a text. The prompt can be done through a voice, an audio, or nowadays you can also try to put the videos to it. The Google's latest one, you can throw the video and you can quickly generate. You can put image and then you can get an output. The foundational model, as I said, is based on your deep learning, natural language processing. So that's how the computing speed is fast. I'm not going to go and give an yarn on the deep learning, so everyone is aware of it. So the encoder model, the generative adversarial model, your turbo model, whatever OpenAI uses, all makes use of your deep learning and NLP. That's a core, right? So that's the reason it is able to think. So I read a book called Hyperfocus by McKeown. The human brain has n number of neurons. At a time, it can attract close to 11 million signals. Similarly, these natural language processing and these models can attract more than 15-20 million signals. But practically, a very bright student, an intellectual person can only observe 40 signals per second. Your brain is capable of generating 11 million signals per second. But the most intellectual person, like an Elon Musk, take it, he can only observe 40 signals. So similarly, these models are humongous. It has, there is a new model called Megatron, which is close to 600 billion. It's a huge number. 600 billion is a huge number of hyperparameters. And how you can effectively use, so that's what it's playing a vital role in innovation. Almost every sector has started to use it, right from HR for screening their candidates, sports especially, they make use of the computer vision, right, to train the archery, the tennis players. The catch here is not everyone can have the computing part correctly. Traditionally, you will be using a CPU. Now it has moved on to a GPU and TPU. So TPU is your tensor processing flows or processing units. So that's the part where you need to be mindful, where you need to get some expert. What kind of processing units can use it and how you can set up your computing. But your base models, small language models can run on a CPU if you effectively do it. There's a lot of tutorials, I'm not going to go there. It is heavily supporting innovation. So I had it in my basic i3 processor. I had two models, one is from the Hugging Face and then from the Llama models, basic models. It can still give you everything. Without a gaming unit, without a tensor unit, you can still do it. So the reason I tell a lot of students, they ask, I need such a complex models. So a lot of people ask me, students especially, I need to buy an intensive machine close to 2 to 3 lakhs. No, you can use a basic computer and still you can do all your researches. Very much it is supportive. So I just wanted to take a pause here because I've been talking close to 30 minutes. Any questions? Any questions before I get into the industry use cases? I'm not able to see the faces. So any questions?
If anybody has a question, please raise your hand. We can allow you to speak, or you can also drop your question on the chat.
Not sure if there are people from Satyabama, RM case. So lectures are going very silently. Okay. Use cases. I thought of getting you few use cases which is not violating IP, intellectual property. Certain use cases are made in public. I've taken it. The first use case is Alibaba. So everyone is aware. Alibaba has built in a hyper-personalized recommendation engine. Recommendation engine is again a model to handle unknown. Think about it. You want to buy something, but you have not done the research. Earlier days, you need to go to multiple websites. You have to do your comparison and do it. But nowadays, the smart recommendation engines has come in that it will ask you very basic questions, couple of questions, and the generative model behind that would do a clustering. It's the deep learning that I said. Either it will take based on your signals or in the geolocation where you situated, what is the best. Think about it. This one I can publicly make it. So IDP has a recommendation engine as an AI product called Fastlane. A lot of professors here would encounter students who are skipping placements. It's a lot of students who miss placements are surely going to the education abroad. So IDP has put in a product called Fastlane. Earlier, if some student has to get an admit into colleges, it takes a couple of months, it's a lengthy process. Now, with that product, very simple interface, idp.com, you can log in, or IDP Live app, you can log in. You can put in your basic preferences. You will get your offer in principle within few hours, and the counselors will get in touch with you. You can honor your offer in principle if you meet those standards of the test scores at whatever GRE, TOEFL, whatever you take it. IELTS in our case, IELTS is a bigger examination. So the universities have set some target. If you meet that, you can go there. So that's the amount of innovation has scaled up, because it's going to be very, very tough, because nowadays the students are the Gen Z plus students, especially, they have never seen paper-based solution across. The gadget, my son, that is directly landed into a iPad. So that's how the world is. So they know all the tricks, how to handle things. So they go to Olympiads. The world is much more. So especially the education sector, the next batch of students are way ahead. So this helps them to address the masses. So this is the disruption I said. IDP does not charge 1 rupee for the service. So we attract close to 3 to 4 million students every year, global students. So that's the power of AI. So similarly, Alibaba has put in to cater global audience. Second example is vernacular bots. So you don't want to type always. If you need to go and prompt something with your voice, the voice to text is a famous one. Whatever you see is a Slang Lab, is a Convo AI. It's a very the example that I quoted in the Big Basket is based on that. Other one I'm going to tell is the Smart Nation Singapore. Is one of the government initiative. I had a chance to talk to that core team last year as part of one of these session that I hosted for Ernst & Young last year. I got a chance to meet the person who did it. So you know how tough it is in the e-governance portal. Normally, think about it, getting your patas and chitas is not that easy. You have to put a lot of paperwork. The Singapore government has made a way that every word that whatever you talk is getting converted into a forms, and the form gets submitted to the government, and based on the blockchain technology they have, automatically it gets approved. It's the fastest mechanism, and the best part is, people who speak Mandarin has a different accent, especially if you go to the ASEAN countries, the English they speak, the Indian English is also different. So the vernacular bot is based on the index, the local index. Even you speak with an Taiwanese English accent, the model is super intelligent to pick it up and fill your form. So you think about it, in India, to get a check from an RTO, you need to do a lot of paperwork, you cancel it. It's super fast, they do it. This is called as a co-pilot. First theme is hyper-personalization, second is a co-pilot. So third one is Starbucks. So it's my personal experience. I'm not sure a lot of you would have faced this. 13, 14 years ago, getting a Wi-Fi access is not that easy, or to have your fast networks is not easy, especially if you're abroad. India had much better. Those days, they used to charge a lot. So that's an innovation or a disruption Starbucks brought in. All the Starbucks centers would give you a free Wi-Fi if you get a coffee, and you can have an extended lease. Only thing they ask is your email ID, nothing apart from that. And then whatever you buy there, it's my personal experience. So I had this option in 2008 in Germany. I purchased my first coffee there, and post that I use that email ID. And then in 2013, I was extensively working in Europe. Every time I go there, I get a punch in. And I was surprised in 2016 when I went into Singapore. When I used that, it was saying that my favorite coffee is latte. I changed into a different one. You won't believe, 2022, I and my son, my wife, we went into Bengaluru Church Street. When I quoted the same email ID. So it said that last time I used. So that's the amount of tracking. So it's a product called Flywheel. It's a personal experience for me. Those days, if you need to have ultra powerful Wi-Fi's, you go and set it. I've presented to my clients out of Starbucks. It connects personally. So interest of time, I'm going to go fast. That's a personal, first three, whatever you see, it's a personal experience. The next 2-3 use cases I'm going to talk about it is more on how the most regulated markets. So Barclays is the company I worked prior to IDP. JP Morgan is a trendsetter in the finance sector. So they have launched index GPT, which is based on the OpenAI. The biggest resistance for the AI is two industry. One is investment banking. Second is your pharmaceutical. Both have now breached. They've done a lot of intelligent process automation. So JP Morgan has put in an index GPT, which can do quants for the front desk offices. So I worked in the risk finance treasury prior to this. So this model can do market risk calculations, credit risk calculation, treasury liquidity calculations, and it can help the traders to assess the portfolio. That's how the industry has started to leverage. Barclays has put in an end-to-end automation to the Channel Islands. So Channel Islands are always a tax havens. You know how the regulations is that, but still the generative AI is penetrated to the tax havens. So currency is that currency has a completely automated. It's through a computer vision. You go through your retinas, you address it, and then fingerprints. You can operate the bank. So it's zero assisted. There is no front offices. There is no clerks sitting on those currency island. You can go, especially they expanded this during pandemic. So most regulated industries has went into it. Skoda has completely revamped its design process, their supply chain management using Magic Eye. So with that, they decide what market they need to go, what market they have to exit. Based on these calculations, they exit India market. Lot of products they recalled it based on this, and their design is completely automated. It's no more that you need to do an extensive AutoCADs completely. So these things will fit for all the curriculum, right? People think that only guys from IT or computer science can do all those. No, it suits everyone. Basic thing you need to know is to prompt how to test the model. That's all. So these are the classic examples for the fourth one is a classic example for a accountant guy. You can do it. Fifth is for an instrumentation or a mechanical student. 3 is completely for a content creator. You can use it. 1 and 2 is more a techie guy from an IT or a computer science background. So last one is a pharmaceutical and a military one. I can't quote the pharmaceutical company. So I have a very good friend who works for a very big pharmaceutical industry. So he was telling about how artificial intelligence has helped them to do the patenting trials, especially, all we began vaccines during COVID. Was that really tested? So all go through the pharmacovigilance. The other one that you see is Mossad. Mossad, the intelligence agency, is one of the first one started to use generative. All their unguided missiles are based on that. You won't believe the Palestine Hamas. They had their own intelligence system which breached. That's how they made this attack 4 or 5 years ago on Israel. So now the world is moving towards, even the militaries have started to use generative AI's power. So that's how these are the use cases. You can go and read it in the internet, all those things. The Barclays one, everything is they're up for reading. Very interesting one. You can go and get better understanding about how the industry works, how every sector, the textile industries are to validate what kind of cotton. So if you see the Tirupur industries are started to use it because they face a very tough challenge from Bangladesh. Bangladesh is now the leading seller for the cotton. Our industries have been pushed to do. So we have started to use this intelligent automation. So that's the transformation it can give. I stop here before I get on to the next skills and what are the things you do. Any questions? Okay. Silence, I take it as an acceptance. This is a quick one I'm going to go through. What are the skills you need for a student that works with you, who comes and asks that to support me on this thesis? The first one is, as I said, unlearn, learn. The passion. A lot of resistance we think is right by doing an automation or by employing AI is going to replace human being. No, there's a very strong answer, as I said. our brain is intelligent enough to handle 11 million signals per second. Machines cannot do it, obviously. The most intelligent brains can only attract 40, which means machines cannot do that. So one has to have a passion to do that. And the second one, I'm not sure you would have. So this is an old comedy show which we used to see in Doordarshan, TV's comedy show. This I'm going to connect it to the computer vision. So you would go to an interview. The interviewer will place a lot of bird caricatures and he will hide the face. And the interviewer will ask, can you see the hoofs of the bird and tell me the name? So he will simply walk out. The interviewer will ask the question, okay, you have quit the interview. Can you tell your name? So this guy would take his hands little up and can you see? So the computer vision, the deep learning has completely changed it. As I said, the Barclays use case, you can go into a kiosk with the computer vision, you can get operated, your accounts there. And Shankar Nethralaya recently has used this, as they say that less than 9 seconds they can do a cataract operation. It's a huge, Shankar Nethralaya and Arvind Aikar, they are the first one to adapt this. So they are the one made these operations to the masses. You see, still in abroad, these eye operations are always a costly affair. Your normal insurance does not cover it. But here you can get it for 30,000, 40,000 through an AI. Shankar Nethralaya has done an operation in 9 seconds, you won't believe. So that's the power of the deep learning. And the last one is, it has made the level playing field. If a student who can clearly tap in generative AI, he can be the master in that field. Still, a high performer who gets 99 out of 100 or 100 out of 100, if he is not able to tap in these models and these technologies, he might not shine in the market. A below average student, the backbencher, we famously call, if the person can tap in, obviously that can scale them to heights. So these are the skills, especially we expect them, right? The passion, prediction, and empowering. These are the skills which the students need. So we found a lot of gap, especially because I'm also taking a lot of interns. The bigger problem people reach out to me is that they miss the basics. So theoretically they are good, they can code, but if I give a basic problem statement, people cannot handle it. So the industry, what the industry wants it is to address this gap. In all these nasscom forums and all these startup forums, the bigger question every company asks is, right, I feel there is a dearth in the students that come to us. The human resource has a dearth to tap in this generative AI or machine learning. So people want to have a tag called data scientist, but as I said, data science is all about statistics, application of knowledge. So that's the skill. So these are the quick thing. I'm going to cover it from a legal or ethical part. Right? You build a model, always you will have problems. You will not get a right output. If you see, this is the one I had a chance to ask ChatGPT. How many letters in ChatGPT? Right? It said 7. I asked the question, are you sure? So these are called as hallucinations because you deal with large data. The model will always. This is one classic example of what machines cannot completely replace human being. Classic example. If you were in a position, you would say, okay, come on, it's 7 letters. You see, right? ChatGPT says, oh, sorry, it can be 6 letters. Sorry. It's very humble, but these are called as hallucination. What is hallucination? To the reality, it can say something, but the training that we give, the human touch, so we call it as a human in the loop. The SMEs are, so for example, if a student comes to you with a model, I see the professors are the guide are the best SMEs to make that model to the next level. They know everything, how it is going to touch the real world. Second biggest problem is bias. When you train, for one classic example is that there is an ATS that's nowadays the companies don't get physical resumes nor anything that you send it in email. No, I have an interface, ATS interface. It gives me a score. So the student has to apply either via LinkedIn or through any portal. It does the screening. Think about it. A person who has built an ATS system said that I cannot take women with a gap. It's wrong. It's against the law. You can't discriminate. It can't say that this colored people cannot. So all these things were prevalent. So it has to be fixed. So the SMEs play a vital role. Threats, as I said, the prompts, there is always a chance unknowingly, right? Someone can prompt, can inject it, and then they can bring down your. So there is a cyber security part as in attached to it. Bigger problem, or you will face it because you will get theses, you will get your dissertations done by the student. Plagiarism is a bigger problem. People with generative AI, they will put something, they will take some other papers, and then they will present it. So all the generative AI tools, there is a person called Komal Talwar. So she has built a product called to validate all the final year students or all the patent that they put it are not hackneyed, which means copied. It's not copied from someone else. So the plagiarism is a bigger problem which needs to be addressed. The last one is, as I said, how it could improve is by two things. One I said is a human in the loop. Other one is to address the knowledge cutoff. There is a term called retrieval augmented generation, which means you can train, retrain, train, retrain through the SMEs. So I see the audience in this section who can really help the students to scale it to the next level to address all these things. So the reason I kept this as a last is for me, this would be the takeaway. I also am happy because as part of the data council, we will put in we put in some skills that we requested nasscom to go and give it. So it has turned into the train the trainer. So these are the key points the gurus and the professors, right? You can really help the student to address it. If a model has these pitfalls, it's not going to, because the mortality rate for any artificial intelligence product is very high. The quote I'm going to make it, India was the first nation to make email free for everyone, Hotmail. Sabir Bhatia was a Hotmail founder. I had a chance to meet him last year in one of the nasscom forums. I asked him a question, what is the mortality rate? He said, out of 10, 9 AI solutions die. The catch is Silicon Valley is built, so it has a market cap of close to $3 to $4 trillion. It is almost half of our Indian economy for AI. So that's a market space. Says that out of 100 ideas, 99 fail. One idea is a disruptive idea which made Silicon Valley. So the one thing is right. So ideas has to be validated by this. Okay, are we using right model? Are we addressing these factors? Are we putting in right knowledge cutoffs? Are we doing right audits? Are we ensuring that we don't bypass legal? Are we ethical? So these things would give you a fantastic model. You can build it, you can take it, you can write a wrapper. There are a lot of Indic LLMs. We can talk to Kavya about it. nasscom is this Bharat LLM. A lot of Indic LLMs have come in. So a lot of students have started to build their own LLMs. Hugging Face builds a lot of plugins through the students. The Metas, Googles all tap in our resources, they get ideas, and that's how the generative AI model or this world has evolved. So that's where we stand. I think we are close to the session. I think I've also done everything. Quickly, these are the next set of waves which is going to hit the AI market, which I can explain in the next session, is that semiconductor lithography, generative AI is doing an efficient thing, how you are, because you are going on to the cloud computing, right? How the cloud computing could be done. So how your chips can be made smaller, micro, how micro can be made further nano, all these things. Second is your ESG. So that's the carbon neutral, that's a buzzword which is coming. And last is the blockchain, the legal tech, which it said. So these are the next AI wave. So you can embrace your students to have this, ask your students to do, especially the ESG. ESG is a corporate responsibility, right? Every time you switch on your ACs, you're emitting greenhouse gases. So every product in next 10 years will go through an ESG check. Without that, no product will go through. This is a way which I'll cover it in the next series. That's all I had. I can open up for questions. So it was a pretty monologue for me. Normally, I tend to get questions in between. So, Kavya, I've done with it. I'm happy to take up questions. If any questions already there, I can answer.
Especially on a webinar, I think this happens. Questions
No,
come
no.
at the end.
I can talk 8 hours. I've done it for one of my customers, right? I can talk for 7-8 hours, so it's not a problem for me. The audience has to stick on to it.
Yeah, I think one question we have already got on the chat box. So Karthik has asked, what's the difference between GenAI and responsible AI?
Okay, good question. Generative AI is nothing but it gives you a content. So if you see the cat example I put in, it gives you the content at any way. What is a responsible AI is that it's a framework. Think about it. I generate images. I only generate cats of white color. Is it right? No. Cats are, as Bhardiya said, right? The quails are in all colors. Your cats are in all colors, right? So that's where the responsible AI comes in. I say, why only white cats? Yeah, it can be any color. It checks it. Second is, you handle private data, especially this legal and IP. Very simple example. You would have registered for this event. So they would have asked. So nasscom would have put in a consent saying that we will go by the norms. So there's a data subject access rights. So I take an information. I am obliged to go and inform my regulators. This is how I use the data. I can't go and violate those things. So that's called responsible AI. Responsible AI is nothing but whatever training, whatever content that you generate should not be discriminative, should not be biased. Reason is right. Because the model is a pre-trained model, you have billions and billions of hyperparameter. You would inadvertently put in your biases. There is two types of biases: intrinsic and extrinsic. Model itself inherit a bias because the developers would have put in something. While training the SMEs, as I said, the cats should be not always white. So these checks from how the responsible AI does it from this ethical check. Are we not violating rules and regulations, laws of a country? Every country has a different. So ChatGPT was banned and still in Italy because it blasphemed about pizzas. Pizzas are the poor. Pizzas define Italy. So it said something about the pizza. The government has slapped a fine on the OpenAI and then it stopped it. So two things: when you do things responsibly, you won't hurt the opponent party or you will not get fines. So that's what it's called as. You can go and read it XARI. It's called as explainable. The output that you give, as I said, right? ChatGPT, how many letters it's said? It said 7, then it said 6, 5. You are not having that fairness and giving an output. That's explainable. Responsible, don't break ethics, rules, otherwise you will be penalized. Whoever signs off the model has to face the regulator. They can go even be imprisoned. So that's what responsible AI plays a vital role. Right? I used to always say in the previous show, you can't always be a Robin Hoods who can take data and give it to. No, it is driven by rules. Something like an onion film, the Ambi, it is by the rules. So that's what I'm saying as responsible AI. Generative AI is for content. Responsible is a framework to deliver generative AI outputs by the laws and regulators, whatever the norms.
Everyone who's there on the call, in case you have a question, You can either please raise your hand or you can please drop your question in the Q&A or chat. We have around 10 to 15 minutes time for questions. These questions don't need to be restricted to this topic. Pradeep is an expert. You
Yeah, it
can
can be
also
anything.
ask other questions.
Yes, yes. It can be anything in the,
It can be concept or an application, anything.
yes,
Please
yes.
go ahead.
Someone typing, sorry. No, it's a good number of people, already 50, more than 50 people are around.
Yes, I think there are no questions currently.
No problem, so you can reach out to me, you can send,
Yeah, maybe you can drop your details here, Pradeep, in case they want to
no problem, no,
reach out for a question.
no
They can
issues,
reach out to
no
you on
issues,
email.
no problem.
I will
You
just
can
put
reach out,
your email.
yeah. You can reach out to me, happy to support. And IDP is very warm in helping interns. My counterpart, the Jazz, right, so he handles that. Even very well, if there are some interns, you can come. So we are very open for it. Thank you so much for your time. And it's a good time. I had a chance to refresh a lot of things. Thank you so much. And Kavya, that's it. You can close it.
Yeah, thanks, Pradeep. So thank you so much for bringing out all the points, especially the use cases. I think will also bring a different perspective for the participants to think how all the things that they're teaching or all the things that the students are absorbing is something that they'll apply in the future. And also on what you had shared on the next wave, I think I just wanted to add semiconductor industry is currently booming, and India is one of the top three countries where semiconductor talent as well as investment is there. So it's going to really create a wave. I also want to just reiterate what I said in the beginning of the session. Pradeep will be doing the next session on 3rd May. He will be covering these points in the next session.
If you have
Um,
anything bespoke, please feel free. I can cover that also. So
yeah,
it will be
please,
out
in
of
case
the
you have any specific questions or specific topics that you want Pradeep to address in the next session, you can please write to us. I have dropped mine and Pradeep's email in the chat box. I think you all already have my email, but nevertheless, you can drop us a question or any topic of importance to you. We will come back to you in the next session with that. I'll also shortly share the invite for the next session so that you can all register for that also.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the patience. Thanks, Kavya. Yeah.
Thank you, Pradeep,
That's
and
it.
thanks to everyone who's taken this time out today.
Thank you. Bye.
See you in the next session.